2.5 because I went live the other day and I had to cut that short because when you have kids, that's what happens. So I was just editing another video that I did. Look at my hair, you guys. I actually did this myself, and I'm so proud because when you don't, your coins are not aligned at the moment. You have to find ways to keep it, you know, keep it going, keep on the grind, keep it moving, just the same as if everything is fine and dandy. Hold on. Okay, yes. Alright, so I was just testing how I could do my own makeup as well. I'm not a makeup pro, so I think I did well. I think I did well enough. Listen, these days I am just taking everything like one step at a time, phases, strides. I'm learning to do so much more now than I've ever done before. A couple of things that I can't do. I cannot ride a bike, some bicycle. I cannot ride a bicycle to save my life. I fell off of a bicycle when my brother was riding it. I got hit by a bicycle when I was 10 years old. Ended up in a hospital, drinking from a straw. Told myself, that's it for me. I hate these things. Never learned to ride a bicycle or bike, as some people would call it. Another thing, I almost drowned. I almost drowned twice. I'm like, I'm not this girl. The only swim I'm swimming is in my tub and in the shower. So never learned to swim. So those are two things I think I'm going to tackle at some point. Let me see what else I said I've never done. Okay, I need to learn a second language. I'm working on that. What else? What else? Me and my sister, we had made some. We made a list. You know, we were talking about some of the stuff that I never did that I think I'm going to do. Yeah, oh yeah, learn to do my makeup. That is just a given. Like females, are we supposed to just know how to do our makeup? Somebody needs to tell me that. Somebody needs to tell me if we're just supposed to know how to do our makeup, so because we're girls. You know, because my youngest son, I must say, in this time and age where they say everybody have ADHD, well, he seriously diagnosed, you know, autistic, ADHD, the whole works. I am autistic. I'm ADHD too. Crazy. Like, no, that's just a joke, but I mean, I could tell myself based on how fixated I get on some things, I just have never gone through the general testing process. And I realized why I cannot stay attentive to certain things for very long. So, who knows? Because they said that, you know, most often when everything's happening, you know, kids tend to, I would say, genetically get certain things from their parents or from medications that they take during pregnancy. But anyhow, that's just one of those things. So today I have a recall from the FDA. Right, so your girl is on it for you guys. Alright, so this recall is Go Raw LLC expands voluntary recall to include one lot of Steve's Real Food Freeze dried chicken recipe due to low thiamine, vitamin B12, vitamin B1 levels. So this is a recall. So it's for real. All right. And the summary of the recall announcement, June 8th. So this is fairly recent. Published by the FDA under the Animal and Veterinary Food and Beverage Pet Food section. And the reason for this announcement is it may contain low levels of thiamine B1. So it's from Go Raw LLC, brand name Steve's Real Food. Product description: freeze dried chicken recipe, cat and dog food. So if you have a cat or a dog, this is a voluntary recall. Right. So that's one product that I found a recall on. So the second recall that I found, did I staple something? I stapled something else onto this, you guys. The second recall is Clover Hill Dairy recalls soft ricotta or ricotta, and it's requesting cheese due to possible health risk. Alright. So the summary of this recall, June 9th, so that's fairly recent as well. Potential to be contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes. Clover Hill Dairy LLC, soft ricotta requesting cheese, right? Let me see, why did it, how come I have this? I have other stuff attached to this. So where is, you guys? Oh, here we go. So this is what the cheese looks like. And it's, you can see the batch number, and this is 2AA052626. And they also recall the bucket as well. Let me show you the bucket, you guys. So this is what the bucket looks like. So apparently what happens is that you get the bucket, and then you would, your store or your supermarket, local supermarket, they would actually serve it into the different sizes. Like if they're selling it by the pound or by the ounces, then they would put it, that's why it's in this container that you notice. In these containers, you notice this round one, these are usually the local store, how they actually sell it, and it's the same thing for this one, the square one as well. So I think for most companies or for most supermarkets, they buy maybe by the 5 gallon, and then they would portion it out into different sizes, and they would sell it maybe by the ounces or by the pound, depending on what their sales unit is. And so if you have purchased this soft ricotta cheese, it's on a recall. And I did mention the batch name, the batch number, right? The batch number is 2AA052626. So that is the batch number for this cheese, right? So if you bought this cheese, it's on a recall. And so remember, the recall reason is because it may be contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes. Okay. And the company announcement: Clover Hill Dairy of Mechanicsville, Maryland, is voluntarily recalling all soft ricotta or Rickerson cheese because it has the potential to be contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes, an organism which can cause serious and sometimes fatal infections in young children, frail or elderly people, or others with weakened immune system. Although healthy individuals may suffer only short-term symptoms such as high fever, severe headaches, stiffness, nausea, abdominal pain, and diarrhea, Listeria infection can cause miscarriages and stillbirths among pregnant women. Alright. Clover Hill soft ricotta or Rickerson cheese was distributed from May 4th, 2026 through May 30th, 2026 in the following states. Listen carefully: North Carolina, New York, Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, and Washington, D.C. through bulk distribution. So you see, it goes back to the same thing that I just said. Um, if you buy it from your regular store, perhaps your regular store bought a bucket, like a 5-gallon bucket, and then they would retail distribute it through in smaller batches. So retail stores and directly to consumers. Soft Hill, no, this is what Clover Hill soft ricotta and Rickerson cheese was sold in retail size packaging as 10, 12, and 14-ounce individually packaged clamshell containers. For clamshell containers with the Clover Hill Dairy Cheese brand name, please look for Clover Hill Dairy's plant number 24-128 on the product label to assist with identifying recalled product. The recalled cheese was also sold in bulk 5-gallon, exactly what I'm saying, 5-gallon and 2-gallon buckets to some customers that repackaged the cheese. Please note the bulk cheese may be repackaged under individual bulk distributor brand names, including but not limited to Queso, Quesos LA, Ricura, Izalco, De Mi Pueblo, and Rio Lindo. So what this means is that these buckets would have been retailed out in smaller containers by some companies who would have sent them out under their company name. So that is a serious dilemma right there. So if you have bought cheese under any one of these names, they could be potentially recalled since June 9th. Queso, Quesos, so queso or queso, Kesso, Quesos, Quesos Ricura, Ricura, Izalco, Izalco, Demi Pueblo, Demi, then Mi, then Pueblo, Pueblo, or Rio Lindo, Riolindo. Right? So if you bought any of those cheese, you perhaps need to check if they are on the recall batch, because I know when they retail the product, sometimes they put the batch name from the product that it came from. So if it came from gallon size or 5-gallon, in this case 2-gallon, so what they do, sometimes they put the batch number from where it's coming from on it, so you can always check the labeling to see if it's there. To the best of our knowledge, to date, 8 cases of Listeria infections may have been linked to Clover Hill soft ricotta, Rickerson cheese, as published by the Food and Drug Administration in cooperation with the Maryland Department of Health. Clover Hill Dairy was made aware of the potential public food health risk by the Maryland Department of Health, Clover Hill Dairy has ceased production and distribution of all cheese products and has initiated a voluntary recall for Clover Hill Dairy Soft Ricotta, Rickerson, while the Food and Drug Administration, Maryland Department of Health, and Clover Hill Dairy continue their investigations. Consumers who have purchased recall Clover Hill Dairy Soft Ricotta or Rickerson cheese are urged to return it to the place of purchase in its original packaging for a full refund. Clover Hill Dairy Board and staff members sincerely apologize for any inconvenience and hardships caused by this recall, and we sincerely hope to correct this problem as soon as it is possible, as soon as this is safely possible. Thank you for your understanding. We look forward to serving our valued customers again in the near future. Customers with questions may contact Southern Maryland Agricultural Development Commission on the behalf of Clover Hill Dairy at 240-528-8850, extension 327. Or you can contact the FDA, right? So that's one of the challenge too. When you buy these retail products, sometimes they repackage them, and it's the same thing for a lot of things. You find that people will purchase what we call purchase stuff under one brand, and then they repackage them under their brand, and not realizing the potential risk factors that is associated with anything that filters down, and in this case is cheese, because a lot of retail stores would have bought buckets of these cheese, and as you realize, they have distributed them under a different brand, their personal company name, which is they are the ones who are going to also feel it as well. So now it's like you're gonna say, oh, but how do you even say this? Oh, but it's from another company, but you brand it to your own. So that's a problem. You brand this cheese as your own cheese, which came from another wholesaler, and now you are the retailer with your name on it. Sometimes I think it's just best if you just keep the wholesaler's name on it, to be honest. Keep the wholesaler's name on it and just sell it as is in your retail store, because when people come back, they're always going to remember that they bought something from you that was potentially harmful, dangerous, and no matter how much you tell them that it's from another wholesaler, it still was branded with your company name. So I think we ought to be very, very careful about buying stuff from wholesalers and just slapping our company names on stuff like that. And I wonder if even when they buy these products, if they've even tested them themselves. Like, did anybody from some of these retailers actually tested the cheese before putting it into containers and slapping their brand on it? I think that is a legitimate question, because if they had done that, maybe somebody from their organization or their retail store would have fallen ill, and so they would have known before sending it out onto the aisles or into the for people to purchase them, potentially before putting it into your refrigerator or cooler to resale, for resale. So what I think, essentially what I'm saying is, I think when you are purchasing from wholesalers as a retailer to resell their products, test it first. Have your scientific persons or person that work in your retail store always have somebody on board who can test products. I remember when I was in university, I was working with this water company. They sell juice and water, and I know that they make juices there for themselves, but what they would buy, they buy the the gallon of concentrate. So because they buy the gallon of concentrate elsewhere, then they use that concentrate to reconstitute it to make the juice. So they make juices, and remember that you have 100% juice, but a lot of these 100% juices are juice from concentrate. So while working with this company, when they get these gallon drum of the concentrate to make the juices, what I appreciated about this company is that we had well, initially there was another testing person. She was studying pharmacy, I was studying nutrition, and I actually ended up getting a part-time job there while I was off from school. Even when I had my thyroid problem, I was out of school for a year. So I ended up working with them for a whole year. And we actually tested these products. So we did blind testing. So we used to line up in the lab. We used to line up in the lab, and they would have blind testing of the products. So they not only tested their products, but then they would pull juices from the supermarkets with different brands, and then they would put them in little cups, and we would test them. So we would test them. We would compare flavor. We would compare um, palatability. We would also compare just the color, because in some of the concentrates, some of them are stronger than others depending on what you're mixing. Because remember, you have fruit mixes where you could do orange, pineapple, orange straight, pineapple straight, guava, pineapple, fruit punch. So this is concentrate that you would mix together. And what we would do is we look at the color palette to make sure that it looks similar or even better than some of the other products in the supermarket. We also made sure the flavor was there and it was strong. The same thing with the water. When they had ozonated water, we tested it and retested it. To be honest, I don't even know if that company it's probably still up and running. But I remember my boss and his wife, those people, they were tough. Especially the husband, he was quite rough. When a juice flavor passed by him, you know that it passed because he was rough. But that's one of the things I'm saying. So when you buy these wholesale products, and in this case this cheese, they should have their local person on staff that tests them. You don't just slap your company name on products and sell it. You need to test it and retest it before putting it out for resale. It spares your company, because you could have sent this back on a whim, because you would have tested it already and realized that it is somewhat contaminated. Right? So that's one of the things that I would recommend for any small retailer who are buying products from large companies, whether pharmaceutics or food, in this case mostly food. Test and retest before retailing it. And this is one of the main reasons too why I appreciated the company that I was with at the time, because I realized that they were strong on testing their products before putting it out in any supermarkets. And not only that too, I've had the opportunity to go on the sale as a salesperson on the trucks too. I did quite a bit of sales with them as well, and they were big on temperature. We had to ensure, because I was there, we had to make sure that the temperatures were kept in line with public health recommendations or public health guidelines, and that is something that I really really appreciated. We had to check temperature control, all of those things. So it had to be up to par, because as I said, he was a very strict man. God bless his soul, because he was old at the time, so probably was okay. Right, so we had to keep everything up to par. Water, juices, that was one of my most fond memories of working in testing as a young researcher and as a young university student. I think I think I'm a well-rounded person because just being in that space allowed me to understand how testing works. You know how you test for acidity. You know, make sure that things are neutral. The pH as well. You need to test the pH of the water, the pH of the juices, to ensure that I would say consumer friendly and ready for the public. Right? So that's just my take on things. When you are a retailer, you need to ensure that what you are reselling is aligned with your brand, is aligned with what you are trying to put out there in the public, because you can easily damage your reputation by just slapping your name on something that you bought in bulk. Whether it be from other countries or whether it be from your same country but just a bulk production company. So often you find that companies buy bulk, slap their name on it, and then their name is the one that end up in the mud, because guess what? They've already taken off the wholesaler's name. Sorry. They've already taken off the wholesaler's name and brand off the product. And their up and coming company is the one that falls in the mud. In this case, I'm happy that the wholesaler took responsibility, because guess what? It is a more wide scale event, because this is more than one state that is affected. You know, it says it was retailed in North Carolina, New York, Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, and Washington D.C. So because there is like a more wide scale spread of this listeria and people have already fallen ill, I'm happy that the company took responsibility, the wholesaler took responsibility and recalled the products voluntarily and didn't just leave the retailers in the mud to, you know, drown by themselves. So kudos to this company for taking the responsibility on in recalling the product and also shut down production, because I think it's commendable when you find one company that will shut down production when something happens. If there is um, staphylococcus or E. coli, and in this case listeria, that they shut down production of that whole thing. You have some companies, they can section or isolate the batch, because when I was working in this juice company, we had batch codes, which most people do. They have batch codes, like for instance, if you have production of this particular thing from Thursday to Sunday, and this is the only thing that you produce, you have the batch code from Thursday to Sunday. So you have all the codes for all of what was produced during that couple of days. So if you have to recall, you don't have to recall your entire production. You recall what was produced between Thursday and Sunday. And the only issue is that, though, if you are not a clean company, where between the time that you put your production time between Thursday and Sunday, when before you start reproduction on Monday, you have people come in, clean the lines, clean the filters, clean everything Sunday night into Monday morning. Which I must say that the company that I was working with, you had cleaners. I was on the floor, so honestly, I'm telling you that I'm a well-rounded girl. I was on floor when scrubbing was going on. I got quite a bit of responsibility. They put me, like, I think they realized that I was smart, so they kind of put me everywhere. So I was able to be on the floor, so people knew me and people respect me. So I was on the floor. I was in the lab. I've gone out on marketing um trail. I've gone out on deliveries before. So I was able to see how the production went. And so you had people cleaning the line, you had people, the lab was kept tip top shape, especially, I won't call her name, but the initial lab tech that was there, she was awesome, and I had an opportunity to work with her for some time, within the time frame, and she was exceptional. She knew her stuff. She really knew her stuff. She went on to study, finishing up pharmacy. I think it was at UTech. Yes, so that was really a good opportunity. And so, as I said before, if you are one of those companies who cleans the line after that last set of production before you restart production on Monday morning, then I think you are a trustworthy company. So when you recall a batch, you know the exact batches from batch code XYZ to batch code WZZZ, whatever. So you are able to control, and then you don't have to shut down your whole production to clean everything, because that would have been cleaned already. And then you can have public health come in and test this set that is now produced on Monday, and then you get a thumbs up and you continue production. But then for the nasty companies, them know who they don't clean nothing. No, that is where you have a problem, because they have to recall everything and they have to shut down production. Perhaps, I don't know how everybody else do it. I'm just saying they have some have shut down whole production so that they can disinfect the entire place, right? Because everything may be contaminated. So if you're looking to start a business in terms of food production business, ensure that you have these things straight. Know how to isolate production so that you don't end up with a whole production shutdown when something goes wrong. Batch codes XYZ to batch code whatever, whatever. And so you're able to separate when something goes wrong, so you can still continue your production and to make money. But when you have to shut down the entire production, you're in trouble because you're going to lose coins at that time. The second thing is, make sure that you have cleaners who actually cleans, and you have testers who actually test. So when the cleaning is done, you have testers who test to make sure that once the cleaning is done, product is up and running. The testers can check the product to make sure that the cleaning went well. Same thing if you are doing water, that they don't find anything in there because the cleaners came in, the lines flushed properly, and you can continue your water filtration, whether you ozonate it or you we call this other one, I don't know. Anyways, long time stuff. But yeah, so however you distill your water, right? You have your people do their testing, and you can continue filtering and distilling and sending out your water for consumption, and you don't feel like you need to shut down the entire production, right? And I would say the same thing goes for clothes, makeup, whatever you are doing. Just ensure that you can separate production so that if there's a recall for any reason, you don't have to recall the entire line, or even if you have to recall an entire line, you don't have to shut down the entire production because you know the exact things that were affected. All right, so I hope that helps somehow for people who shop, consumers, and for production companies or small retailers. Make sure you know who you're aligning with when you're starting your company and you are retailing from mass production companies. So if you're purchasing from bulk production, make sure you know what you're slapping your name on, because if you're trying to build a business, you don't want to fail off the jump. All right, so make sure you understand who you're aligning your company with, and also have a testing method to test your product to ensure that what you're selling to consumers are the best for them, and you don't end up putting your company in a bad light, or having something negative associated with your company, when it's not really just your company, it's from a bulk production company. They are the head of the stream and they are the ones that's dirty, but then because you are the closer to the bottom of the food chain, you're the one who's affected, and you have no way of really fixing it with with your customers, because they just think it's your name that's on it, it's your product. So you should have make sure you know what you are selling. And that's one of the things too. I started this tea recently, um, and I am testing like a whole bunch of teas. And personally, if I'm testing products for people or whatever, I am not going to say, oh, go buy this or buy that, unless I test it and realize that it is something that is, to the best of my knowledge, won't cause any harm, right? Because in medicine, in health, it's no longer just um in MBBS. It's overall, um that you do no harm when it comes to health. First, do no harm, and everything that you do should be, to the best of your knowledge, ethical, and you should be somebody who has values that you try to uphold, and not try to sell things that you know for a fact um, is just unethical and unprofessional. All right, you guys. So that's that for me. I hope that you guys watch this video and you will see the recall that I just mentioned. The one for the pets. If you have cats or dogs, you can always check that out. But for food, I know food overall consumption, people have to eat. Not everybody has pets, but everyone eats. So if you have pets, then you can check that one out. But for the other one, with the listeria, um, ricotta cheese, that is I would say universal. Not everyone eats cheese because some of us are lactose intolerant, but I think that would reach more people because a lot of people consume cheese around the world. Cheese is like almost a universal language when it comes to people who are not lactose, and even people who are lactose intolerant, because I'm lactose intolerant and I eat cheese. So yes, um, so I hope this is helpful for wholesalers, retailers, consumers, anyone out there who are looking to be in business, start a business, buy from other business, or just consume things from businesses. For us to be very cautious of what we're buying, what we're selling, and how we're selling it. All right. So if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so now. If you have not yet hit that notification bell, please also do so now. If you have not shared my channel, so your family and friends, and for those persons who are interested in health, I mean, there are other things on my channel as well for other people who are interested, but I have a doctor of health sciences, so I'm going to every now and then, most often, drop some gems in about, as I said, some food recalls and other things that I know, and I hope that benefits um, the masses. And I hope that you can share it, because to be honest, this could benefit a lot of people. Because one thing you can't go wrong with, and is trying to stay healthy. You can never go wrong. And to be honest, like, we can't always be 100% healthy, but I always say, if 90% of the time you do your best, then the 10% won't be what kills you unless you get hit by a truck. All right, so let's see if we can at least 90% of the time do our best to stay healthy, stay away from some things that we don't have to constantly consume. Because I always say as well, there are what we call the every time foods, and there are also the sometime foods. The sometime foods, if they become the every time foods, that's when we're in trouble. All right. So see you guys in the next one, and I hope that when you see this video, you like, share, and subscribe. And this is your girl, Dr. Tian Normal, and I will see you on the flip side of things next time on when I go live or when I upload a video. It doesn't matter what the video is, you guys can watch it, you know. You guys can watch it, you can subscribe, and you can stick with me because we're here for the long haul, alright?